Welcome back or welcome to my channel, Karlie Paige. My name is Karlie. I'm coming to you from Calgary, Alberta. This is my space where I talk about all of my current projects that I'm working on and my passions in life. Today I have a typical knitting podcast episode for you all. I have a couple of finished objects to go through, about 3 whips and 2 yarn acquisitions. So let's get into it. Okay, we will start with what I'm wearing today. I did show this on a previous podcast, and this is my rib lace raglan by James and Watts. I knitted this in figuring weight. The yarn is Ancient Fiber Arts yarn. They're hand dyed here in Calgary, Alberta, and this colorway I don't believe I have the band anymore for it, but it was something about like moose or something like that for the colorway. If you're very interested in it, it will be in my previous video, the color. But yeah, so I used just 1 full skein for this top. I bought this skein of yarn without any plans for it at all, and so I brought it home. I looked at the yardage. I thought, what can I make out of this? I didn't really want to make a hat or anything like that, and so the yardage fit for this size 2 of the rib lace raglan, and I basically just knit and knit and knit until I ran out of yarn. So it is quite cropped. It is definitely a summer outfit or top, but here it is. It's cropped. It's quite form-fitting, and I basically knit to about here, and then I started the sleeves. I just did 1 round on each of the sleeves and then cast it off, so I just have a cute little cap sleeve, and then I used the remainder for the body. And it's actually quite funny to see how much yarn I had left. If I could find it. I just had it. Here it is. So this is all the yarn that I had left after finishing this top. That's it. Just this piece here. So thankfully I guessed the correct amount I needed left to bind off. I really wanted to make it as long as possible as it was so cropped already. So yeah, this is all I had. It was definitely a zero waste project, and I was just keeping this to show you all how little yarn was left, and thankfully I didn't have to rip back and start the bind off over again if I misjudged how much yarn I needed for that. So overall, I'm pretty happy with this. It was a really fun knit. It just flew by, even though it is with fingering weight. It's got, I'll come a little closer just so you can see the detailing of this lace pattern, and the detailing here of the raglan is beautiful. Now, a couple of modifications that I did for this was that it did call for an I-cord, an I-cord neckband, and for the sleeves and for the body of the hem. Because I was only using 1 skein of yarn, I didn't do that. I just did a regular bind off, and I think it looks fine because it's pulled quite tightly that it doesn't roll over too much. Another modification that I did, and I did speak about this in my last video showing this for the first time, was that starting off I did knit 2 rows of just stockinette before starting into the lace, because I just always have a tough time casting on and immediately jumping into a lace pattern. I don't know why, but it's always been difficult for me. So that's how I get around that problem with any lace project, is I just started off with a couple rows of stockinette, so I kind of have a stronger base to go off of. That's how I feel anyway, and it works for me. And that's about it for modifications. Everything else I did exactly according to the pattern, and that was my first James and Watts pattern. I thought it went really well. It was, again, really fun. The instructions were pretty clear to me, and I hope to make more of his patterns in the future. My next and final finished object is my Ripple Crop Top Worsted version by Jessie Maed Design. I showed this a bit before. It's looking pretty much the same because I decided to not put sleeves on it. So here it is. You can see that it goes like just below the belly button. So a true crop top. I know I spoke a lot about this last time, and I was humming and hawing about whether or not to do sleeves like the pattern is written for. And in the last video I decided I'm going to do sleeves because that's what I bought the pattern for, was this t-shirt version. But I don't know, I just, once I joined the shoulders together and I tried it on, I really fell in love with it, and I just thought it looked good as is. I'll put some pictures up of me wearing it so you can see it on. But yeah, I was just really happy with it, and I thought, you know, it was a pretty quick knit because this is a DK weight yarn. And it kind of flew by. It's just 3x3 ribbing pretty much the whole time, and other than your shaping here, well no, which is still 3x3 ribbing, but yeah, it's bottom up, it's really simple. So I might do a second version eventually, maybe in a year or so, after I have some time from finishing this project, and I can do, maybe go a size up. I think I did size medium for this, and it is still form-fitting, so I'd maybe do a size large, and add in some sleeves, and maybe make it a little bit longer too, because it is quite cropped, which is fine with me also because all my pants are quite high-waisted, but it is nice to have just a little more length to be able to tuck in a top to your pants too. So I used Cascade Pima cotton for this. Again, they didn't have a color name for this, it was just a number, and I'm sorry, I'm bad at this, but I don't believe I have the tag for it anymore, or the ball band. If you are really interested, it will be in my last video. I'll have the number up. But yeah, super pleased with this one. I think the color is just perfect. It's coming off pretty true to color on camera here, but I think this is my favorite cotton yarn that I've worked with so far. It just seems really like silky and smooth and not as like rough, and not that cotton's too rough, but this one just seems like it has a lot more silkiness to it than other cotton yarns that I've used before in the past. So yeah, this was also my first Jessie Maed pattern that I've knit before. Highly recommend. It was very easy to understand, well written in my opinion, and I definitely want to make more. There's not much else to say about this other than not doing sleeves. There are no modifications to this. It's just knit exactly to pattern minus the sleeves. So it feels really good having these two items because now I feel like I'm really getting into the groove with spring and summer knitting. And I'm not one for big sweater knitting projects. I like to have kind of more, because I don't like to wear big sweaters a lot, even in the midst of winter when it's freezing outside. I just always feel really like suffocated by them. So I'm not a big sweater knitter. I like to do smaller garments, and now that it's finally the season for that, it feels really exciting to have a couple of them done and ready to wear, and makes me even more excited for spring and summer. Okay, we'll go with the whips now. I'll start with the oldest one. And I've shown this before. Well, not really, actually, because I ripped it all back and then started over again. But these are my DK Weight Vanilla Socks by Crazy Sock Lady. And I am knitting these up for my boyfriend. So it starts at the cuff, works to the toe. And I've shown this yarn before, and I was doing just the vanilla sock version of this using fingering weight yarn. However, and I got about to like here. However, I quickly realized that I hated knitting fingering weight socks, not my thing at all. So I just doubled up the yarn to do a DK vanilla sock instead, and now it's flying by a lot faster than before. So as you can see, we got 2x2 rib on the cuff here, straight stockinette, we got a slip stitch heel, and then I'm just working stockinette in the round for a little while longer until I get to the toe decreases. So this is the only one I have. Hoping to get these done in the next couple of weeks or so. It'd be nice to have these off my needles so I can start another pair of socks for myself. Again, not much to say about these ones. This yarn is by Windswept Fibers, and it is hand dyed in Newfoundland and Labrador, and this is the best kind 4-ply sock yarn, and this is called the Woodsy Boil Up. So yeah, Windswept Fibers. And I've mentioned this before, but I got this yarn in St. John's, Newfoundland when I was with my partner visiting his family, so I thought he would be a great recipient for this yarn and knit up in socks. Okay, my next one, and this is sort of an acquisition as well because I haven't shown it all to you yet, but it is my Farfa top by the Knit and Purl Girl. And I got my Knitting for Olive in pure silk delivered, and this is in the color Powder. So this is a fingering weight yarn, and this is my first time knitting with silk and second time knitting with Knitting for Olive. I know a lot of people say that knitting with silk has been quite rough on their hands. I have not found that. Maybe it's been with different brands, but specifically for this one, I found that it's been quite enjoyable to knit on and not rough on my hands whatsoever. So I'm actually already been searching for more and more projects to knit with this yarn because I am in love with it, and it's just creating a really beautiful fabric. Now this, when I show you this whip, it's going to be a little bit difficult to see because it is a top-down raglan, but I'm using quite small circumference circular needles, so it's all bunched up. Same needles I used for this top, so you can't really tell what's going on here, but I'll show you the back. So this is the back. It'll be like a little keyhole design. You add an I-cord to the top afterwards and like long I-cord ties so you can tie a bow for this little keyhole opening. So this is the back here. I've got my raglan increases here. Here we got the front, and then we've got more raglan on the side there. So yeah, sorry you can't really tell what it's looking like, and I can't either. I'm just hoping for the best. I am doing it according to my size, obviously, but the back is higher than the front, so there's short row shaping involved with this, and yeah, it's actually, like, considering how it's quite a lightweight yarn, it's knitting up pretty fast, and I'm dropping stitches here. There we go. It's knitting up pretty fast. I'm past the point. It was like a bit challenging, not challenging, but just kind of like fiddly, I guess, when you're working flat for this keyhole part, and then once you get into the round, it seems to go a lot faster because then you can finally just knit all of your rows. Don't have to purl as much, or at all actually. So yeah, I'm just steadily doing the raglan increases, then I'll be able to slip for sleeves, and it's stockinette down the body, stockinette down the sleeves with some increases to create that drapey bell sleeve. I am planning on doing the 2 tiers of drape, or 2 tiers of increases for the sleeves to create a longer one. Again, that'll be based on how much yarn I have left, and maybe I'll really fall in love with the shorter sleeve version when I try it on, and I'll be good with that. If not, I'll increase. even though I don't have much to show for it and I can't try it on or see really what it looks like, I'm already in love with it and I already want to make another one in a different color. I am one that loves color, and I did decide to go for a quite neutral yarn for this one just because I thought it'd be a great staple piece in my wardrobe, one that I'm kind of missing. But if I were to make a second one, I would love to play with some color a bit. Knitting for Olive has, for the pure silk, they have a beautiful like petroleum blue that I have my eye on, and this army green that I would love to have this in too. So we'll see what the finished product looks like, or as I kind of progress further into the body, how much I like it. And then I might be making a second one of these in the near future, or maybe not. I always plan to make a second of something, but it never happens. We'll see. But yeah, this is my first pattern that I'm knitting from Knit Purl Girl, and I really, really love it. I thought that everything was super clear, and I think it's in testing right now, but the Farnham Tea from Knit Purl Girl, I'm really wanting to knit as well, because she did a version of it with like a cream base and then terracotta color for the stripes, and that combination to me is so beautiful. So once that pattern is out, I might cast that on too. You've probably seen the Farnham sweater. It's just a t-shirt version of that for more like summer appropriate wear. So yeah, that's all I have to say. I haven't done any modifications so far. I did screw up with short rows on one side of it. I accidentally skipped a step, so I was one less short row than I needed to be, and I added it in after, and I don't believe you can tell at all. So I think it'll be okay. I just really didn't want to rip back a couple to do it because I was kind of like lost as to where I was. So I think I hit it okay, but I plan to work on this a lot in the next little bit, so hopefully I'll have quite a bit to show you all next time I do an episode like this. Okay. And my last whip. Okay, I started this last night. This is my Musselburgh hat. It is one project that I've been wanting to cast on for a really long time. I had this listed in my 2023 knitting plans video that I put out probably in January, I'm assuming, and I wanted to make it with Hedgehog Fibers Iris colorway. And I showed this in the last video, but I did come across some iris in a local yarn shop here in Calgary called Pudding Yarns, and I have not seen this anywhere, and so here it is caked up. And I'm so happy to have this yarn and to be able to make a Musselburgh hat out of it and to fulfill my knitting plans for the year. It's just so satisfying. And originally I was just going to knit a Musselburgh in just this yarn, but then I kind of wanted to tone it down a bit with the speckles, and I didn't want the speckles to be the first thing you saw in it. So I went to my favorite yarn shop, which is in Okotoks. It's called Unwind Wool, and I picked up some mohair. So this is part of acquisitions as well, but I got some Tin Silk mohair by Sadness Garn, and I got, what color is this? Well, it is color 4244. If you're interested, here it is. This is my first time working with mohair also, so how crazy is that? But here it is. So I have paired these two together. I didn't have this yarn with me when I was choosing this, but I kind of thought that it would go well together and probably make a pretty color, and it would mute down the purpley tones in this, bring it more pink is what I really wanted. I really wanted a fun, bright pink hat to cheer me up in the middle of winter. And I know we're going into spring, but I'm going to try and finish this soon so I can still wear this, because it still gets, I mean, we're getting warm weather here and it definitely feels like spring, but in the mornings and nights it's still cool and I could still wear a hat around. So yeah, I just like, what a great way to play with color is for accessories, and I would love to make matching socks with this and matching mittens. Anyways, let me show you the hat and the fabric that's coming up with this. here she is. I started this last night. I cast it on like 17 times. I don't know, I could not get this cast on. And so I tried different tutorials of how to do it, and I ended up going with one that I forget which tutorial. I'll put it up here and I'll link it down below, but I found it to be the easiest way to do like a circular cast on like that. And yeah, so I'm just still in the increasing rounds before I get to the stockinette. I'm just obsessed with it because this is exactly what I pictured for a hat. Like, this is so fun. And it's pretty true to what you see on camera here. And now I believe this mohair just kind of toned down the speckles quite a bit. It brought out the more pink tones in the color, and it's less purpley. So I could not be more happy with this. It's starting to take me away from my other projects, but that's okay. Everything gets done in time, and there's no rush for any project at this moment. So I'm just knitting on what I'm drawn to and what I feel called to, and at the moment it's this guy. And yeah, I'm proud of myself so much for getting this done, even though I wanted to quit many times. I just could not get my hands to work in the way I wanted them to last night. And then when I finally got the cast on right and I started to see how everything was coming together, it just made me really happy and excited. I can't wait to wear this. I think it's a beautiful, fun, girly, playful, flirty color, and I cannot wait to have this in a Musselburgh. And I plan to wear my Musselburgh and plan to knit it long enough so that I can have a folded brim. That's just what looks best on me. I find I'm very picky with hats. I actually don't like the way I look with like 98% of hats, so I'm really hoping this looks good on me. And yeah, fingers crossed. If it doesn't, whatever. I've been enjoying knitting this so much, and if it doesn't look good, I can gift it to someone for Christmas this year. But yeah, I don't know. This just makes me really happy, all these colors. This also looks like a god's eye right now. Okay, enough of that. We've all seen Musselburghs everywhere, and there's not much else to say to it. I'm just following pattern. I'm just very happy with my color choices and how it's turning out. Let me just talk about this a little more. Just to give you reference to see how purple this is without the mohair and how it's knitting up. Yeah, anyway, that's it for my whips at the moment. Let me go into my final acquisition that I got yesterday when I was buying this mohair. And it's pretty simple, nothing crazy. I just got some DK superwash / acrylic yarn because I wanted to make some more DK weight socks for myself. And I thought I'd go with a more, less, what am I trying to say? I wanted to go with a solid color. That's what I'm trying to say. So this is Ella Ray. It's merino, cash merino, extra fine merino wool and cashmere. Just a really pretty color. I thought they'd make great, like, basic vanilla socks to add to my wardrobe. Goes well with some of the things I've knit up recently. And once I get my partner's socks off the needles, I'll be casting these guys on, and hopefully that'll be a quick knit and a nice little knit to have in between patterns. A nice little like palette cleanser for knitting. That's all I have for acquisitions. I was really trying hard not to get any acquisitions this week, but I'm feeling good about it because I'm already using the mohair with my Musselburgh hat. My socks I'm going to be knitting up once I finish the other ones, and then we're good to go. So it won't be sitting in a pile of stash yarn or growing to a pile of stash yarn by any means. Yeah, that's it for knitting, you guys. I haven't been up to much else recently. Had a little bit of a rough week last week, so I was on the couch most of the time just knitting away and planning future knits, dreaming of yarn and all that good stuff. I haven't done any sewing or anything else for that matter. Haven't done any dyeing, any stained glass, but when I do, I'll be sure to film it and take you all along with me. I'm hopefully doing some dyeing in the next couple days if I feel up to it, and I will love to share it with you all afterwards. That's it for me today. Thank you all for coming along and watching my videos. If you did like it, please consider clicking the like button or subscribing if you haven't already. And be sure to check out the next episode, which will hopefully have some more progress to share with my hat and with my Farfa top, and maybe even a sock done? I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, thank you all, and I'll see you all again soon.
Dry